What's up guys? Today I'm going to show you how to install these LED strips on your car. They're daytime running lights and turn signal lights, and so I'm going to show you how to wire them up. The ones that I have here with me are from a brand called LEADTOPS. I don't know if you'll be able to see. So this is on Amazon. They're $22. So it's very inexpensive. I think they have either a 1 or 2 year free replacement warranty in case they stop working. They're 24 inches long and you can cut them shorter. If you look up here on the LED strips themselves, they have these cut lines where you can cut them, and then they have a cap on the bottom that you'd want to put on and seal up. If you look at the ends here, you can see that I put silicone on them just as an extra waterproof sealant. I did that on all of the pieces where there might be water coming in, as well as these boxes. And this is actually an important one because I believe there's like a big gap here, and I believe if there's water in there it might screw with the way that your turn signals and stuff work. Reading the reviews, I think that's what happened. So I made sure to silicone around the cracks and everything to keep water from getting in those. You're probably going to want to do that yourself as well. But yeah, so here's the 2 strips. First thing you're going to want to do is get your car opened up. I had to take off the bumper cover, that's why it looks like this, in order to get the headlights out. Some cars you might not have to take the headlights out, but this is a 2012 Subaru Outback, and for this we have to take the headlights out in order to get to the wiring to wire these up. There's 3 wires on each. You have the ground wire, a yellow and a red wire. So the yellow wire is going to wire into your turn signal, and the red wire is going to wire into your park lights, so the lights that run all the time. You can basically stick these. They have a 2-faced adhesive on the back of these LED strips, and you can basically stick them wherever you want on the car, but it tends to look the best between the headlight and the hood. So what I'm gonna end up doing is putting them in like this, so that it's just between the headlight, and when the hood of the car is closed, it tucks nicely in there and it looks very good. In order to install these, you're going to need a few things. Right here you have a digital multimeter. This is going to allow you to test the volts on your wires to figure out which wires are your park lamps and which wires are the ground and the turn signals, because there's like 6 or 7 different wires down there, and you got to figure out which one you need to tap into. But you can do this without these, and I'll show you how to do that. If you don't have one of these, this just makes it easier. But if you don't have one of these, you can do it actually with just by sticking the ends of these in your wiring harness, and I'll show you how we do that. And then just whatever tool you need to get your headlights out or get access to the wires. And then there's some different options that we can use for connecting the wires. You can use something like a butt splice or a pigtail connector like this, where we just basically we need to have 1 wire going one end and then 2 wires come out the other end. One of them going to the headlight itself, and then one of them going to the new LED strip. There's also a 3rd way to do it, and this is the way that I'm going to do it because it's going to be easier, and then in the future I'm able to unplug them. And what these are wire taps. So there's these little clamps that you clamp down on the wire, and it cuts through the insulator on the wire and makes contact with the wire, and then you can get a piece like this to connect to your other wire, and then it slips in there and makes that contact. And that way in the future, if I needed to replace these LED strips, I could just unplug them, replace this piece on the strip, and then plug them back in that easily. So I'm going to try it that way. Sometimes these don't work very well, and if they give me problems, then I can resort to using butt splices or the pigtail connectors, and in that case I'd have to cut the wire, strip it, and then do it that way. But with these wire taps, it's a lot easier because you don't have to cut and splice the wire. You just clamp them on, basically. Also, if you're wondering why I'm so shiny, it's because I have bug spray on. There's a bunch of bugs out here. Alright guys, so as you can see, I took the headlight out, and now we can access this wiring harness. So here's the wiring harness. This is where your headlights plug into, and not all cars are going to look the same, but it should be relatively similar, and it's basically just what your whole headlight plugs into to get power. And you can see in the back there's 8 different wires coming out the back, and so basically what we need to do is figure out which wire goes to the turn signal, which wire goes to the parking lamp, and which wire is the ground. And typically the ground or the neutral wire is the black one, and looking at these, they have the different colored stripes. Well, these 2 ones in the corner here are both black, solid black. So there's 2 different ways you can test here. One of them is with the multimeter. So if you have the multimeter, you want to put it on DC volts and on the 20 volt setting. Turn it on, obviously. You want your black, I don't know what these things are called, but your black pokey thingy is going to be in the COM hole, and then the red one is going to be in the volt ohm, whatever that is. So basically we're going to be testing the voltage, and what we're going to do is just set that somewhere where it's safe. And so take a guess, basically whichever cords are black, in this case it's this corner one, and you can just stick it in there to where it's making contact. It's not going to stay in there, but you just make contact with the metal piece on the inside there, and then you can take your red one and stick it in each one to test out, and watch your meter here, and you'll be able to see the voltage. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the headlight on, and then I'll show you guys how that works. So right now what I have on is the parking light. I already have aftermarket headlights on here with LEDs, but I want to add to it because the turn signal lights on these are very dim and hard to see in the daytime. But really I just want a more visible turn signal, so when I'm driving in the daylight, people can tell when I'm turning. It's just going to be safer that way. But so here's the headlights that I have. As you can see, the LEDs are running on this side, and power's going to this, but obviously the headlight's not in. So what we're going to do is stick the black wire in there. So you can see right now it's hardly got anything going, and then I'm going to just stick it in each one of these holes, wait a second, and see if it changes on the meter. Alright, so right there you can see it change on the meter. So now I know that this is my parking lamp, this wire right here where that red prong is, and looking at the back of it, it's going to be this one. So that's the one I need to tap into with my red wire here on the LED light. And so that's basically, you do the same thing with the turn signal. What you'll do is you'll get in the car, turn the key, and then turn the turn signal on, and then do the same thing to test, and make sure you're holding the red one in there long enough to see, because especially with the turn signal, it will go on and off, and you'll see on the meter here, you'll see the voltage changing from like 0 to 20 or whatever it is. Oh, I just got bit by a mosquito. The other way to test the wires without a multimeter is just using this, and I'm not sure if all of the different brands of these light strips, because there's a bunch of different light strips on Amazon that you can get, but this specific one comes with these tips like this. So they have, it's not just raw wire, they have like these little metal prongs that make it perfect and easy to stick into these pieces. So what we're going to do just to temporarily test this is take your black one, put it in the negative, and it literally just slides in there perfectly. And then I'm going to take the red one, and this is where we decided the red one goes, and watch that. So did you see that? That turns the light on, and now you can see, okay, the light's working. And then this yellow one, if I put into the turn signal one, you can see they stay there, and then I can test it out, make sure that it's going to be going the right way. So right now it's obviously super fast for a turn signal, and it's not going to continue to be that fast, but right now, because we don't have the headlights hooked up, it's blinking that super fast, but it won't do that once you have that everything hooked up. But because it is hooked up like this, now I can see which way the light comes from. So the light comes from this part where the wire is, which means when I'm doing the turn signal for this would be my right turn signal. I don't want it to be this way, I want it to be this way, so that the light's going the direction that I'm going to be turning, and it's not going to be confusing for other cars. To attach this end of the wire tap, which is the connector end that goes to the LED strip wire, we're going to put that in there just to where it's sticking into this tube, just about that far in, and then we're going to crimp it. Pretty simple, just like that, and now it's attached. We're going to use these wire taps now, and you can see that there's different colors. There's also a yellow one, and the different colors means that there's different sizes. And so if you look carefully, you can see where the wire goes in there, the gap between those two pieces of metal is bigger on the blue one and smaller on the red one. So depending on the size wire you need to tap, you're going to use the different sizes of these. And with these, you just got to be careful that you make sure that it gets all the way through the insulation to the wire. So what I do to do that is I get one of these strippers, and I just go and clamp it on the wire and just kind of wiggle it around just enough to cut the insulation to where you can see the wire, and then that's where you want to insert this, because these are designed to where you just clamp it on there and it'll cut through the insulation as you clamp it, but I find that it doesn't work very well, and these things are actually kind of a pain in the butt. They're honestly not super easy to work with. So you can see I just kind of clamped it around there and moved it around to where you can hardly see the wire coming through. And then you're going to take this right there where that slit is and clamp it down. You might need pliers to close it all the way. Like that. Then that's where your other piece that we just connected in is going to slide into that slot. Alright guys, so we've got all of our wire taps in here now, as you can see. So the reason there's two different colors here is because there's two different sized wires here, but we're gonna go ahead and I'll show you how these connect. You gotta make sure that these little metal pieces on the inside go in those slots, because if not, then it's not gonna work. And it should turn on in 3, 2, 1, Alright, so now we have power, and you can see the other side here. It's looking real good. I haven't stuck them yet, but that's how it's gonna fit in there. Alright, so I'm just using this zip tie here to store the wire and kind of keep the extra wire out of the way. But now once you've tapped the LEDs in, all you're gonna do is plug your headlights back in like normal, the way that they were, and then you can choose where you want to stick the LED. You just want to make sure that your turn signal is going to be going the right way. These this says right side installation, so each of these are labeled right and left. It really doesn't matter which side they're on, as long as you make sure that your turn signal is going to be turning the way that you're going to be turning with that sequential turn signal. So you're going to want to make sure to also clean the surface of where you're going to be sticking the LED light on the headlight, and using like a rubbing alcohol is going to be very effective for getting the best stick. Looking at the reviews for these LEDs, a lot of people say that you need to use glue in addition to the sticky, but I'm hoping, since it's going to be tucked between the hood and here, that I won't need to use glue. But there is a very good possibility that I will, because the sticky stuff just doesn't stick too well, especially when it's out in the elements. I got the LED strips stuck on now, as you can see right along the top of the headlight here. I made sure to push that all down very well, and it seems like it's sticking pretty okay, except this one spot where the strip is too fat to kind of go through there, so it's not level and it's not sitting on the top of that very well. I'm hoping when I close the hood it'll help keep it down, and I might have to use glue eventually, but for now it's sticking pretty good. It looks very good already. Just from a distance it looks factory, and it matches very well with the LEDs on the headlight itself. So we're gonna go ahead and close the hood, and you can see it still has a very clean look, tucked beautifully in there. Obviously I still don't have the bumper cover on, but it's looking very good. So let's go ahead and turn them on and see what they look like. Alrighty, so here's what they're looking like, guys. They actually look very good, very clean, looking from the different angles, very visible from the side. It honestly does a good job at reflecting right through the plastic of the headlight, so it's actually very visible, even though it's tucked underneath the hood like that. Same with this side. You can see I went all the way from down there all the way up as far as it would go. I didn't cut it at all, and it looks very good. So that's just the daytime running lights. Alright guys, this is sweet. So here's with the turn signal. We got the sequential turn signal, and it actually looks very good. That's awesome. Yeah, it looks great for $22 and a few hours of working. And you know, it wasn't the easiest install, but screwing around with wires is never that easy, at least for me. But I'd say it did the job. This is what I wanted it to do, is be more visible, especially from the side. So that's definitely visible, because you can't even see the original blinkers until you get over here, and still they're not even that bright. How they hold up, we'll have to see, but for now they look awesome and they work great. And for $22, I don't think you can really beat that, especially since they have a 1-year replacement warranty. Well guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you enjoyed it and it was helpful to you, please subscribe to the channel and leave a thumbs up on this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.